Wow, I've never met her, but wow.
We are live.
Hello, Joey. Let me ask you this, Joe. Have you ever met a person who argued something about one thing and was black and white about it, and then said, but the other problem is, the other issue, which is kind of the same thing, or even worse, is that it's nuanced?
I've seen that. There was an option, I think, in maybe one of the social networks where you could put your relationship status as complicated,
Yeah.
and people started joking around with that, saying, "Oh, it's nuanced." But yeah, that's never really in the context that I've never really had that come up in conversation. Oh, it's nuanced.
Because I've noticed that leftists often who like condemn about racism or bad behavior of certain groups or like have certain ideology, and then you bring up an issue like, for example, a woman was arguing about the Proud Boys and that they're fascist or whatever, and I asked her a question. How did she feel about the grooming gangs in the UK, the Muslim grooming gangs? And she hemmed and hawed. She didn't want to deal with the issue. And then she said, you know what? The problem is nuance. And I'm like, well, couldn't that be said about the Proud Boys? Is it that it's nuanced? They have crackpots in their group, but not all Muslims are grooming gangs. I mean, not all Muslims. I mean, most Muslims in England, I understand, aren't grooming gangs. But the fact that the left, particularly the anti-racist left, has stopped, were responsible for stopping the a lot of the investigations and a lot of the arrests because they wanted to not harm Muslim immigration. And yet, like I said, that problem is nuanced. And the same thing with whites in South Africa, with white farmers in South Africa. They say the problem is nuanced. And I don't have a problem with that. But are other problems nuanced too? Or is it just the problems that you see as nuanced? Because with the left, everything on the right is like evil and there's no gray area. But when it's something that doesn't fit their narrative, it all of a sudden it becomes nuanced.
Right.
And that just really pisses me off.
To me, it's usually if somebody says that, especially in that kind of conversation, just means they don't know.
Or it means that they don't.
Nothing like that. Yeah, it's not like it's so complicated where you can't paraphrase your ideas and you could paraphrase maybe what you've heard other people say, or summarize what it is about something and try your best. But to me, saying it's nuanced is a cop-out.
Well, it's not only a cop-out, it shows kind of like you're deciding you're deciding what is nuanced, Because the left used to say a lot of things are nuanced, and the left used to have, both conservatives and liberals. It was black. Nothing was really that black or white. And now, they're very condemning of the right, and there's no nuance. But anything that the left does, or what the left champions, is nuanced. Are they just downplay it altogether? That's been my personal opinion on that. I mean, and there are things.
But let's look at the definition, right? It's a subtle distinction or variation. So are they just using maybe the wrong word? Maybe they should be saying it's just complicated, because if it's a subtle distinction or a variation, what about it can't you say that is different? To me, that's why I'm saying I think people misuse nuance. Yeah, that's why I think it's used as a cop out so many times. But I understand what you're saying too. It's also kind of maybe creating a double standard of sorts.
It certainly, it certainly looks that way.
Hello, you are on with Brian and Joe.
Yes.
This is Transparency and Marriage.
It's our favorite frenemy, maybe friend, enemy.
It's Nuance.
Yes. By the way, I think instead of the one angry Jew, you should change your name to the one inflammatory Jew, because you inflame more than you are angry. What's that?
Well, you sound like shit. You said one what Jew? What?
Oh, I said you should change your name to the one inflammatory Jew.
Yeah, you sound maybe like you're off the microphone a little bit.
Do I
Sounds like your head in the fish tank. Do you have your head in the fish tank?
No, I don't. Do I sound better now?
Yes.
Not much better. Why don't you say the word again, since I didn't understand it?
Oh, I said that you perhaps should change your name to the one inflammatory Jew instead of...
the one inflammatory Jew. I couldn't even make that word out. That was so oddly spoken. Can you pronounce the word of the day?
What is the word of the day? Oh, what is the word of the day in your mind?
I'm looking at it on your YouTube thing. Can you pronounce it?
Nuance.
I'm sorry. Over on the right-hand side, the one that begins with an M.
Nuance?
No. On the right-hand side, it begins with an M.
Nuance.
M as in Mike.
Nuance.
No, it's it. Word of the day.
What
pronounce
M?
Can you pronounce that word?
Pronounce what word?
Okay. Maybe it's no longer there.
It may not be.
Yeah. Mythomania.
And now I notice Twitter
I'm
is
trying to figure out what word you're talking about.
Well, it's obviously not there. I
Oh.
paused the YouTube so that I could call in to speak with Mr. Midnight Moon.
Yes. So, have you been listening to our conversation at all, sir?
His whining and kvetching is normal.
He's upset.
I am
Clearly.
upset. Yes,
No.
sir, I am.
What? Okay, your sound is terrible.
Yeah, you're echoing,
what are
Brian.
You upset by?
Yeah, that's
What
what
are you
it is.
upset by?
Yeah. What are you upset by, Brian?
Now the other sound is echoing. So I am upset by the fact that it seems like leftists will use, like black and white terms to describe conservative groups. For example, they call the Proud Boys fascist. And I mentioned to this person what do they feel about the Muslim grooming gangs, because she was from England. I asked her how she felt about the Muslim grooming gangs. And she said, well, the problem there is it's nuanced.
It's nuanced.
Is that anything like cheesy?
Maybe.
Okay.
Nuance.
Why
Nuance.
does it take so many seconds to process what I say?
Nuance.
You are the thing of it is, Howard,
Yes.
it seems like you are just, sometimes I feel that you are here just to now the title of the show is Who Decides What or Who is Nuance?
I'd
And
like to know why you have 10 dislikes already.
how many dislikes do I have?
10.
Is that because of you, jack off? And I shouldn't be using that word because I have 10. Let me take a look at this. Is that because of you, Jack? No, I have one. We have one dislike, and I'm going to put a like on there. And I hope, since you are on the show, Howard, and you're not being muted,
Oh, wait. You like your own show?
of course I do.
Weak.
That doesn't seem objective, does it?
No. Well,
But it's
no.
he's being at least he's being transparent about it.
I can't get good pizza here.
I bet you can get good fried chicken though.
What is your point here, Howard? You're not bringing anything to our show.
Well, your show doesn't amount to much, so bringing anything would probably overload it and it would fall over under its own weight. What is it that you think is nuanced?
By the way, it is the person who brought the show up. I mean, who brought the idea of nuance. I consider nuance to be kind of a gray area. I mean, that's the way I define it. It's like,
What was nuanced yet? You can't just give me an adjective that something
I
is
can do whatever I want.
Telling me what is nuanced.
Well, it's something that cannot be described accurately, is what people have, is the definition that I'm looking at in front of my face.
Wait a minute. If you can't describe it accurately, then what is it you're describing?
Okay, the show is basically what people have told me a lot of times when I bring up things like South Africa and the Muslim grooming gangs. They always a leftist will always say the problem is nuanced, but when you talk about conservative groups like the Proud Boys, they will say they're fascist. They're not nuanced, they're fascist. There's no gray area. And nuanced, from my definition, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it's a gray area. It's not black or white. But
why would you mention a word that has no business being used in that context?
I am pointing out, for me, the inconsistency of the anti-racism.
I said it was being misused, and it sounds like Howard's on that path too.
Well,
It's the right word.
This is the
Because liberals said so.
This is the point.
doesn't- So,
I'm not the one who used that word. Malcolm Nance used that word. In the British Jewish girl who's on my Facebook page, who I might just introduce you to her, Howard. She used that word.
Over in Thailand, I'm sure that'll be. I'm sure that will go over very well.
Well, maybe you and her can have a discussion.
I'd like that.
Maybe you and she can have a discussion.
That's right.
She would consider you a racist and a fascist, by the way.
Well, I don't know why you had to say "by the way" at the end. It served no purpose in that sentence.
Okay, can we stop here for a second? Brian, get
Yes.
the cobwebs out of your mouth. I want you to form a sentence, and I want you to strategically form it, and then say it to Howard.
I think I will. I think I may. I think I might just repeat myself again.
Yes.
And say
The
reason I thought. The reason I thought.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. The reason I thought of this show is that I hear this oftentimes when leftists talk about the thing, like the groups they champion, like Muslims or blacks or whatever, what they consider to be protected class groups. Anytime they bring a problem to what they consider to be, I guess, the superior individuals or the people that they consider the overclass or the upper class, they consider they call the problem nuanced. When British girls are raped, as I said before, there is a person on my Facebook page who said the Proud Boys are fascist, and then I asked her about the British grooming gangs, the Muslim grooming gangs, and she said, well, the problem is nuanced, and this is after a long back and forth. Did that get the cobwebs out, or am I still not making any sense?
No, for you it makes sense. For everybody else, I don't think so.
Well, Howard, why don't you bring some enlightenment here?
Yes.
Yes. So you're whining, and you made a whole show because you don't like what some liberal said, and that their use of the word nuance.
That is about the size of it, but I don't think I'm whining.
It's pathetic.
Howard, you fled America, so you are an expat. You are not a patriot, sir. I
haven't fled America. Wait. I haven't fled America. I traveled outside of the borders of America, something that most people haven't done. We know that you've done that, although I'm not sure how recently. We know that JP has done that. Most of the nudniks that hang around your Discord group, they haven't been anywhere, probably not more than 100 miles from where they were born. But I didn't flee anywhere. I left. I may come back. I may not come back.
Well, both
That depends.
Both
that
Joe
depends largely the election, doesn't it?
Now, RD said that you totally fled. He says Howard totally fled.
Nobody gives. First of all, RD is from a country that nobody gives a shit about, so nobody cares what RD says.
Well, people like Dutch ovens, and they love Dutch cookies. And RD, by the way, is from Holland. For a while,
an example of Dutch food.
I think they make some fairly good cookies. I could be wrong. I don't.
Yeah.
I get my cookies and sweets, gingerbread men and other stuff. I get my cookies and sweets all mixed up. I just eat them up and love it.
All right, very good. You can't think of any Dutch food.
You know what?
Cheese.
You know what? I probably can't think of any, but RD says that you fled.
And why is that? Why?
Are,
That tells, doesn't that
are you
that nobody
are you
cares about
upset that RD thinks that you are a refugee that fled?
Yeah, but nobody cares about the food from Holland. Did you ever hear somebody say, you know, I just got to get to Holland because I just got to have some of that, and then it's blank. What
Well,
would that be? It wouldn't be cookies.
you know what? I'll tell you something, Howard. I am not sure what and I don't have. I would Google like Dutch food. I might even do that right now. Let me look here. I'm gonna Dutch dessert.
An RD can tell you what good food is in Holland.
I don't think he could tell us. I don't think he knows of any.
I'm looking up
maybe all
right
the things in sandwiches.
Okay, there's this thing called Brada Kook cake. Let me look at
Wait, I'm sorry. What's it called?
10 most popular Dutch desserts, and this is a waste of time.
I'm sorry. Could you give me something savory, not a dessert? Give me something that
No,
I could stick my.
don't own me. I'm putting out the. You know what? I'm going to tell you.
I think they do like.
Not come forth. RD has not come forth with a Dutch food.
I think they do like butter balls. That's kind of a thing there. It's like a fried
butter balls.
Yeah.
If I asked you what Swedish food was, you could start naming those Swedish foods, especially since you probably spent a lot of time in what's that place? Well, what's that store that everybody loves from Sweden? IKEA. Especially since you spend a lot. I'm sure you, Mr. Midnight Movie, with a couple dollars in your pocket, must be able to really stuff your gob with Swedish food. But you can't tell me what Dutch food is. You can't give me an idea of what any Dutch food is.
I'm looking at some vanilla Dutch recipes.
Well, what do you know about Holland? No, don't look it up. What do you know about Holland?
You know what? I don't know a hell of a lot, and this is really off the point. You know
they wear wooden shoes like idiots.
It's so they don't step in crap.
How cranky you'd be? Can you imagine how cranky you'd be if you had to wear wooden shoes all day?
And Howard has you successfully hijacked.
Why are you reading the comments? Why can't you do a show without reading what RD says?
How about
Howard fled and now he hijacked you?
You're not the boss of anybody. And these, you know what? These things look. Dutch donuts look tasty.
Donuts? Okay. I'll give you something. I just gave you one thing from Holland. Wooden shoes and windmills. What does that tell you?
The windmills of your mind, if you look in your brain.
It tells you that the Dutch people are just very gassy. Just gas bags.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you something, Howie.
Howie?
I think at times you are just here to ramble on. I had an interesting topic, and you could have added some of your insight, but I think your selfishness is starting to show, and that is very unfortunate because your brain and mind could be used for something other than selfish pursuits, and that's sad. And that's one of the reasons why I think, to a degree, you're jealous of me.
Like to discuss Ayn Rand and objectivism because I'm very selfish.
Don't talk about Ayn Rand. Let's just move on. Can we move on? Can we stay on point? Do you have anything to add to this wonderful topic?
I suppose we can, but this whole nuance thing has got me all aflutter.
It should. You should be fluttered all the time, Howard. it is a very selfish thing to derail a show and not bring anything to the topic, but we are transparency and merit, and I think would you consider yourself a narcissist, Howard?
No.
No.
Would you consider yourself an egotist?
No.
But you admit to being selfish.
Yes.
So you do things, well, I guess we all do things in our own self-interest. And
Everything you do is in your own self-interest.
what
Why
do you
be one
let me-
thing
let
not
me
self-interest?
okay, let me ask you a question. Why do you think a white person is what is in the self-interest of a white anti-racist leftist? What is in their what are they doing that is in their self-interest?
Well, wait a second. Let me see if I understand correctly. The question is, ask the question again.
Okay, a white anti-racist leftist. Why do they do what they do? Why is what they do in their own self-interest? Because it seems like they're going against their own self-interest.
Well, no, that's because they're insane. Insane people don't act in their own self-interest.
Okay.
You waiting for a lightning bolt, Mr. Midland?
So these. Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at something else. So
I'm
they-
sorry. Were you?
okay,
Were you?
wait a minute. Come on, Howard.
Yeah.
So the anti-racist leftist is insane, and they are. So what do you think motivates the anti-racist leftist?
Insanity. What motivated you to wake up today? Now that is one big chunk of silence.
Brian, let's go.
Did he pass out and die?
Well, he's muted.
Hold on. I was muted. Work motivated me to get up. I had to get to work.
I'm sorry. Are you masturbating?
Jeez, Howard, you're gonna get it. Okay, no.
No, masturbation is not a word that gets you kicked off of YouTube. I'm just asking if you.
Okay, I'll tell you something. It could get us. It could make us where we have to sign in before we listen. So
Why?
All right. Can we please move on, Brian? Can you please
Yes, Brian.
move on?
Next topic, please, because your topic has bombed.
so my topic is not bombed.
Yes.
You just said okay. You just said that. Let me ask you a question, Howard. How did these people, these anti-racist leftists, as a collective, how did they become insane? Like, what made them insane? Why do they follow? Why do they follow? Why do you think they follow what they follow?
That's a misnomer. They're not anti-racist. They're racist.
Okay, but what is their motive?
They are prejudiced, and they are bigoted, and they're gas bags.
But why do you think, what made them that way?
Probably terrible upbringing and bad food.
Terrible upbringing. But some, I mean, because I'm curious to most of these anti-racist leftists, what kind of upbringing they had, because I have family members, one that is living in Thailand. She would hate to meet you, by the way.
I'm sorry. What's about Thailand?
What's that?
What about Thailand?
No. I have a family member. She's married to a Norwegian who they both live in Thailand. They're both expats. And she said the reason she didn't want to come back to the U.S. is she didn't want to live in a country with Trump as president.
Really?
Yes.
Well, she's an idiot.
Well,
how old?
She's old enough to know better. I wouldn't call her an idiot, though, but that's your right to call someone an idiot.
Let me ask you, what does she do to make money?
You know what? I honestly don't want to say what she does to make money. Now I'm going too far down the rabbit hole here.
Why would that be?
You know what, man? Because I post this stuff on my face. I don't think she listens to any of the shit that I say. But yeah, I mean, I'm not. I don't want to get into that fact. I mean, to me, I believe a lot of people have been brainwashed by the media and by a lot of other people. I mean,
no idea what you're saying.
All right, whatever. There are plenty of people who call their parents racist.
You can't tell me what she does to make money.
Oh my God.
No.
Move on. Who cares?
All right, yeah, move on.
Okay, well, it's your show. Move on to what?
All right. So you say that they're idiots in their upbringing. Do you think the educational system had anything to do with it?
Of course. Of course, I wouldn't send my son to that educational system.
You don't think your son could be an like maybe one day be an anti-racist leftist and call you a racist?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Because, the media, even if he's not going to school, the media does have a large influence on people. Like if he ever watches Roots or 12 Years a Slave, and then, he'll see.
Never watched that. He watched things like The Exorcist and slasher movies.
He likes that shit, huh?
No, I just said that for effect. That seemed to get your interest, though.
Yeah.
He's 13. I let him watch porn.
What? Jesus, Howard, that's going to get us murdered. You let your 13-year-old watch pornography?
Have you ever been 13?
Yes, I have.
Did you watch pornography when you were 13?
When I got my hands on it, yes.
There you go. And look
it was not allowed. It was under secret.
It's made you such a fine and upstanding person.
Well, I don't think it really hurt me, to be honest with you, but today is a different day, and I don't know. I don't know what to say on that. And I don't have kids, but I don't recommend them looking at any form of pornography.
Okay. Would you order your hamburger from Burger King or McDonald's?
Burger King.
Would you get your French fries from Burger King or McDonald's?
McDonald's.
How about your hot apple pie?
I don't like apple pie.
Peach pie?
I don't like peach pie.
Have you ever had a tasty cake?
Maybe.
Do you know what your relative in Bangkok does for a living?
She's a Howard. What's the point of that?
Is it a legal profession?
Isn't it what?
Is
It is a legal profession. Absolutely, it is. And I probably shouldn't. You know what? I shouldn't be gossiping about this person. I shouldn't be doing that at all.
Does it involve children?
Howard, the subject is off the table. Let's move on.
Yes, thank you.
Your curiosity is getting the best of you, and I.
So she's a teacher. She teaches English. That's not exactly a high skill set.
Probably not. If she taught English.
How long has she been teaching English here?
Howard, you're going down a path because.
All right, say it again. Say it again. Ask him that same question again. Go ahead.
Why?
Because you'll be kicked off.
Howard.
You asked me to say it again.
By the way,
Because I want to see if you're dumb enough to say it again.
Do you always go around acting like this?
Howard, this is
I'm the most interesting thing you have.
Howard, this is becoming inflammatory. This was becoming a good show, and Joe and I were talking, and it would have probably been a rather shorter show. But you came on, and you derailed, hijacked and derailed the show.
Right. I'm sorry. I can't hijack the show unless you allow me to.
Well, I've allowed you to. I don't know.
So you wanted the show hijacked.
Maybe I did. No, I didn't. I thought you would add some interesting topics, but instead you're interested in fighting me, telling me how bad I am. Whatever. I don't know whatever reason why you've chosen to do this, but you have chosen to do it. You love yourself, Howard. You love your intelligence. You love to, make people think they're foolish, and try to play little games. And you like doing that. That is one of the things that you enjoy. And I'm giving you that. So I'm giving you a little bit of a gift.
How much are you still thinking of my calling you incessantly on Skype?
Not much. Not at all, actually.
How many times per day do you think about that?
Never. I just say that as a joke now. I really don't care.
Do you hold a grudge?
On you? No.
No, on others.
Not since my parents passed away. No.
What do you think of your relative's Norwegian husband?
He seems to be more open-minded than my cousin.
Open-minded about what specifically?
He'd be willing to talk about any subject under the sun, and my cousin will not.
And your cousin won't discuss things.
I think after a while she'll drop the subject. There are certain subjects she will not discuss.
Why don't you give her my phone number?
Because I don't think she'd want to talk to you.
Why not?
Because she barely wants to talk to me, and you're more inflammatory than even I am, Howard. But maybe I will.
much more. I'm much more affable than you.
I would strongly disagree with that. But, I mean, that's fine. You are entitled to your opinion. And this is transparency and merit. Howard, the inflammatory Jew, he calls himself the one angry Jew, but he does not get angry very often. He actually makes others angry. So that is why instead of the one angry Jew, it should be the one inflammatory Jew, because he does inflame. And Joe has suggested that my stoic calm has been destroyed, and now I'm bringing back my stoic calm, and maybe I can inflame the Jew with my stoic calm.
It could happen. It's not too late.
Yes.
Okay, so Brian, where did you want to go now? Are you done?
I think we'll end it. I think Howard is jealous of me, and he's also jealous of Dennis because we're more free spirits than him. And that's fine. Howard can be jealous. But
you did get a compliment. One Angry Jew made the show pretty good, actually. I don't know why he said actually at the end.
well, maybe he did. Maybe he made the main point is to entertain. And maybe I've said a few things that has made Howard fume inside and angry. But I didn't take anything that Howard said offensively. And actually, everything that comes out of Howard's mouth doesn't really bother me, to be honest with you. And he actually does. I think he may bring some entertainment value to the show. And Howard has always been good at angering people. That is one of the things that he does. That's why I think he should, again, and he won't do it though, but change his name to the inflammatory Jew. I want to say that I'm going back to the subject, and I believe this to be true. A lot of leftists, and particularly anti-racist leftists, always use the word nuance when they describe the issues that they kind of champion. Anyway, anything to say before we end this show, Howard?
No.
Very well. Guys,
Very good.
like and subscribe. And Howard, please don't stop putting all the dislikes on our show. It's really
This was a very nuanced show. Howard, you added nothing tonight except frustration.
Yes, but it is what it is. Like and subscribe, and also share this show if you want more transparency and merit. If you want to see what a train wreck, the transparency of a train wreck show, like and subscribe, because this was a bit of a train wreck. Howard rode the caboose.
I see you've collected more thumbs down.
Well, that's probably what you're doing, Howard. You're giving us more thumbs down. Thank you, Howard.